Welcome to the official Bathtub Refinishing podcast, powered by BathTubGuys Refinishing. This is where we discuss the refinishing industry, interview owners and operators, and give tips to customers and entrepreneurs. Now, here's your host, Daniel Montalvo.
Hello, everybody. We're back. Trinidad's getting his microphone.
Yeah.
We were kind of brainstorming stuff on these little pads here. Well, we're trying to come up with ideas for the second part because trying to keep it a little structured so we don't go back and forth to what we were just talking about. But this is a separate episode pretty much because we're going to be talking a little bit more in depth about business in general, and stuff like that. So I wanted to, so I have like bullet points and stuff. So is there anything specific about acquiring clients that you would like to know, or closing sales, stuff like that?
Well, it's definitely the close of the sale, but specifically, let's start out with marketing. Like, what are some of the ways that you found effective for yourself? I know that you have a big social media presence, and I noticed it, and that's how I found you. Mm-hmm. That's how I found you. So, I mean, your style is definitely unique. It's not the same common. They're not bad. Don't get me wrong. The before and after pictures, some of them are excellent. But yours had a little bit different flavor to it, and I like that. So tell me more about what encouraged you to do that. What was it? Just your thoughts? Did you do it on a whim? Or
some of it is whim, you know. But I am of the mindset that like I think I should make stuff that I would like to see.
Mm-hmm. I think the same way.
Yeah, because it's just common sense. It's like, they're not going to give a budget to a movie that's only going to feed like one guy's fucking, like personal preference. They make things widely broad and like likable for more people. So we're bathtub refinishers. So we can bore you with some boring before and after pictures of, what was done and stuff. But I feel like people react to things that they like. And I feel like the whole superhero thing started off of a whim. That happened because for a while we were doing different types of posts on social media.
Yeah.
Our stuff was always a little different because we just, why do the same thing everyone else is doing,
I know you were big on memes for a while.
I did the whole freaking meme thing. I got something in my eye. Okay, I'm good. Yeah, we did the whole meme thing for a while. And that was fun. I like doing it, but it's because I like memes.
You got to keep it fun, though.
Yeah.
You can't be dull and boring and stuff like that. So let's talk about fun.
Renovating is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to, you're getting something better than it was before. You're renewing things. It's supposed to be a good time,
100%. And
there's a lot of stress factors, and I don't want us at the Bathtub Guys to be a stress point. I want you to feel good and feel like, hey, like, these guys have a sense of humor, but they also work and they do a good job and stuff like that. So the memes started because I just liked memes, so I just started making them. That's as simple as it is. And the first one that I found effective was the one of Tekashi 6ix9ine.
I remember you telling me about that one.
And it said, like, can you believe that BathTubGuys Reglazing starts at $275, which was years ago when we charged $275.
Right.
And I had a customer call me. He's like, oh my God, I loved your meme so much. He's like, literally, I called because of the meme. And he's like, can you guys do like a tub and like counters at my house? And we ended up doing it.
Effective ROI right there.
Yeah. You know what that took? 5 seconds of my time. You never know who's looking at what you're doing, which is why I like to broaden the appeal of things that I do. And that was when the Tekashi meme was hot. Even McDonald's was putting out Tekashi memes. So, they were like, oh, did you hear that the nuggets are 2 for $5? Whatever the fuck, it's... And so I started doing that, and then the whole superhero thing came about because I had a customer who was renovating her bathroom. She had us do the garden tub and a shower, I think. Maybe it was just a garden tub. Regardless, she tagged us in the picture of her remodeled bathroom, before and afters, that she put on her personal social media. And she had tagged her husband. And I was like, oh, well, I know her, but I haven't seen her husband. So I was, out of curiosity, I peeked and see who the guy was, what he did. And sometimes I just go through the rabbit hole, right? Well, his social media is just full of artwork. And I'm just looking, I'm like, was like thinking to myself, is this something this guy does? I thought it was cool. I started reading his comics, and I think they're really, really cool. He doesn't advertise that he does work or anything. So I was just like, well, I'm going to send him a direct message on Instagram. And I asked him, I'm like, hey, we're the company that did the tub for your wife. Do you think that you could come up with an original comic for us? And I told him I want it really campy. You know, I want it to be like very like on the nose to like old school superhero stuff, just to make it widely appealing and kind of a little cheesy. You know, I think that stuff is fun and it's like different. Cheese. Yeah,
I like cheese.
Exactly. So, and he made one, and it was. I mean, it exceeded my expectations. I love it so much that I made those giant posters of it.
Yeah, I saw those when I walked in.
Yeah, and I need to find a way to mount them because I want them. Actually, I was thinking about putting them in here instead of the hallway because I think it would look cooler.
It would look nice right there.
Yeah, but I mean, it's awesome. Like, I love them.
I wonder if you had enough room right here to put them on.
They're too big.
Yeah?
I got them. Yeah. Also, I don't know, because I use this space for, like, general stuff. Sometimes I do, like, a different podcast sometimes. So I don't want it just to be about bathtub stuff. I kind of have the set, like, kind of general. What I do want to do eventually, though, is get, like, a little bathtub and put it there. Just because I think it'd be cool. But, like, I have the little bobbleheads and stuff. I just think it's cool. But, yeah, that literally just came off a whim. I was like, well, let me ask him if he'll do something for me. I didn't know the guy was going to get back to me. And he's like, yeah, cool. Sounds like a really cool idea. I'll brainstorm some stuff. Didn't hear from the guy for like a month. One day he just sends me all of them. He's like, here. I'm like, what? That's it? He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, can I pay you? He's like, well, I don't really need you to pay me. And I'm just like, well.
No, man, that's work, man.
I'm like, well, he's like, well, I'll accept the tip if you want. And he sent me a PayPal link. And I sent him $300. And he was like so fucking enamored by it. And then, so we're on this big superhero thing now. Well, I wasn't so sure that I wanted mascot kind of a thing per se. But I just feel like it's cool, it's fun, and we could always change it around, you know. I feel like right now the superhero thing in general is huge. You know, the new Batman movie is doing really crazy. That Spider-Man movie that came out is doing wild. It'd be kind of cool if we had like our own little superhero thing going on.
Yeah.
And people are really into those movies. I mean, that Spider-Man movie, I don't know if you heard, it made like, it's almost at $2 billion that it made at the box office. That's insane.
It's a lot of money.
And that's a lot of people going back to watch it twice. So superheroes are in right now. You know, Marvel and DC, they make money. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess my advertising focus for this year, at least, and maybe continuing it on, is going to be the bathtub guy. Every year I kind of have themes. That's the kind of way I look at it.
To keep it fresh.
Yeah. And it's
because that's what we do.
Yeah, exactly. And we refresh.
Like that.
But, yeah, I mean, it depends on what's in. I started making TikToks around the time TikTok was starting, and we have a good following on TikTok of people who are always watching our stuff and liking it. And it's a good opportunity for organic reach without putting in ads because TikTok has a For You page. So anybody who follows home renovation stuff in general, they'll start getting stuff from us in their feed.
How does that work for you?
I've had customers hire us from TikTok. I mean, it works. Nice. And I'm not putting in money on ads in that. It's just organic.
Until they decide to charge.
Yeah. But, hey, fuck it.
But right now, I mean, it's working good.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could, point being, you just got to be present and do stuff, in my opinion, do stuff that you like because you want to deal with like-minded people. Do you want to deal with somebody who goes completely against your business values, your personal values, and is completely the polar opposite of you?
No, definitely not.
No.
That's where I will draw the line. I won't do it. I'll do it in a very kind way.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to make the person seem uncomfortable, but no. I definitely want to deal with someone who wants to provide a service that truly serves. And also goods that are truly good. Yeah. That's what I aim to do. And that's what I'll give every single time. I will not compromise, virtues or anything like that to make a buck. I will not. You know, so I stand firmly on that.
And that's why I don't advertise. I don't. All right, like there's this McDonald's, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Like they advertise differently depending on where they are. So like local McDonald's here, like they'll put like, oh, support the Tampa Bay Rays, but you go to like Texas and they're like, support the Astros, and like it's all just corporate shit just to get the locals to be like, oh, like McDonald's, they like what I like, you know, like they'll add menu items that are specific to Texas. They'll add stuff that's specific, like here. I don't know if you know this.
What?
There's such a big Hispanic population here in this general area that McDonald's here sells guava and cream cheese apple pies. Instead of apple, is guayaba and cream cheese, which is like a Spanish staple. Like they eat like pieces of the guava.
And this is McDonald's?
Yes, they sell the pies with guayaba and cream cheese here in McDonald's, and they cater to that specific like audience. They advertise to that specific audience, and it's about the context of the situation, right? Like, right. And so, but what I would rather do is create something that has broad appeal instead of. There's room for that, right? And we'll get into that. But as far as like my image, I want broad appeal, and then advertising to specific people that I know may be interested in what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So.
And it's like everyone takes a bath. Everyone has to bathe.
Yes.
That's pretty universal.
Yeah.
Like
and that's why it's most of the ads, like I'll have ones that are the little comics. Mm-hmm. I'll have ones where I feature the bathtub guy, but he's not the star of the show all the time. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like a little mascot thing, and I think it's fun. It's different, but the star of the show is the tub. I try to make the music kind of have context with what's going on. Mm. So like the other day I posted the one, it was the Three Doors Down song, Superman or whatever. But it was funny because it had like the little bathtub guy in there with like the superhero pose and shit.
What was cool about it was that was specifically drawn up for you. That's what was cool about it. It wasn't just some clip art or something like that. That was specific for you. I mean, that guy, he does excellent work.
He's working on another one for me.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. And I asked him, and he did it. I mean, he did this with almost no time. 3 weeks before Christmas, I'm like, I really want a Christmas special, like comic book thing. He's like, well, I have time off right now, so I could do it. I sent him $500 for that one because he did it in 3 weeks. Nice. And just, he turned it in like the week before Christmas, kind of a thing. So
I've seen some of that guy's art.
He does a good job.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's good. He's really good.
And the Christmas one he did is awesome. And then so I have him working on another one. I'm not going to share it because it's a big one. It's going to be really good.
Sneak peek.
I told him it's going to be like 5 pages. I told him like I'm going to pay you good for it, but there's very specific things I want in there.
Yeah. And
it's gonna be good. I'll give you a hint. It's about commercial stuff like hotels, but but it's a comic and it's gonna have the the cheesiness of the other one. It's gonna be good. But yeah, marketing in general should just be stuff that you like, stuff that you think other people would like, and if you can't think of stuff, ask other people or look at what people are watching, what they're responding to. Or just, go on Instagram, go to Discover, look up contractors and see which ones are getting a lot of likes, which ones are getting a lot of views and what they're posting. And kind of just try to recreate that. Utilize tags. If you're on social media, Instagram and TikTok are really big on tags. Because when you tag something, like let's say you tag home renovation. If somebody searches home renovation, that's how the search engine knows to feed that to you. Because it's in the tags. If you just post a video with no context and no tags, it's never going to get fed to anybody.
Yeah, true. Yeah, more reach that way.
Yeah. And so, that's one way of doing it now. That's for like marketing and brand building. You want to come up with something that's, whether it be your logo, if you want to, I am also partial face of the company kind of guy. I make little clips where it's me, but I also have, the comic, and I think having a face to a business is very important because it gives people comfort knowing that they're talking to a real person
Which is big nowadays.
Yeah.
It's big. It's huge.
When I get a call from a customer who saw us on Instagram and like, oh, you're Daniel, I saw your video. Like, it makes them feel like, okay, like this is a real person who's actually doing this. And I'm not just talking to some faceless corporation, you know?
Or you're not getting a call center.
Yeah. That's another.
Gonna put you on hold forever.
Yeah. Oh, did you say you want a commercial? Oh, I'll transfer you. And you're waiting and waiting and waiting. And then, I could give you information on commercial, but you have to go to commercial sales to get the real guy. And then you're just like, fuck.
Especially when you've been on hold for a few minutes and the music is boring. Or no music at all and just some strange beep in the background.
Yeah, or they start playing songs from the 80s.
I like it.
Like synth.
I like 80s
songs.
though.
And me too, but like, I don't want to hear Careless Whisper on the phone, man.
I'll listen to it. I'll jam it. It's cool.
All right. but yeah, the main point of all of this is just, you know, as far as marketing and brand building, just don't take yourself too serious. There's enough of that.
Just have fun with it and do things that you think other people would like because they might.
Go to smaller contractor pages and look at all of the self-seriousness that you see. Like, we're the experts and we're the best.
Everybody says that.
We provide the highest quality.
Everybody's using the top products.
Yeah, well, but exactly. So it's like, you expect me to believe that Mr. fucking 10 followers has better quality than the guy with 100,000? Like, even if he does, the numbers aren't looking like it's backing that up. So you differentiate yourself with the types of posts you do, who you're targeting. Try to make it kind of broad, but also do stuff that you like, because like-minded people are usually people that you'll have some sort of repertoire with, you know?
Yeah. One of the things that we were talking about earlier was off camera. Now we're talking about it on camera. Risk.
Yeah.
Like that's part of risk. Taking a risk on, you didn't know how well it was going to do, but you saw the comic, you liked it. It's big right now. You used it.
It was a risk, and people love it now. And I had, what's funny is the other day I was out with my fiance. Mm-hmm. And I get a call from a gentleman, and he had no context. Like, he didn't know that we were running these ads.
Yeah.
Word for word, he's like, I feel like Bathtub Guys just reminds me of a superhero flying in to make my wife's bathroom dreams come true. And I started laughing, and I'm like, have you seen our ads?
That's what I was going to ask.
And he's like, what? No. I found you guys online on your website, and I just called the ad, and I'm like, I'm going to send you some of them. And he was like, oh my God, that's exactly what I was thinking about. Like, he was like, it's even cooler than I thought. And I'm just I'm like, that's pretty awesome.
It is.
That's pretty awesome.
It is, especially when that's what you wanted to do. That's what you accomplished. And you accomplished it.
Yeah.
So that's.
He's a really good guy. We did the job for him already. It was pretty good. It was one of those full bathrooms where like the tub and the tiles around the entire thing. Mm-hmm. And that guy was really cool. He owns like an olive farm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think his company's called Olive Systems or something like that.
What do you call that? An olive rancher?
Maybe.
What do you call that?
Don't olives grow on vines?
Trees.
Oh. I don't know. Regardless, the olive farmer guy loved it. And he was a really cool guy. And then, the ads were just... It's kind of cool that he could just get Bathtub Guy, and he's thinking, like, Bathtub Guy, a superhero, like, that'd be cool. And then it's like, we were already doing it. We're on top of it, But it was a risk. What if I paid the guy $300 and nobody liked the ad, and then I felt stupid?
And what's the nemesis? Mr. Gross, right?
Yeah, Mr. Gross.
Mr. Gross.
That's one of them. I think he's coming up with another villain for me.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
There's always a battle.
Yeah. You never know what's going to happen to the Bathtub Guy, man. He might run into some craziness. But yeah, and then as far as like where to do your ads, and this is probably where most people are like tuning in, like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Google ads are severely underrated and underpriced. And there was a time where Google Ads was super cheap, but it's still where the return on investment is just too dumb to pass up. Like, you need to be on there. You need to learn how to utilize this. I can help you to a certain extent personally, me, you one-on-one.
Yeah.
But as far as like people out there, they need to know, like, you need to watch YouTube tutorials. You need to actually learn how to do this. And you need to risk, like we were talking about, trial and error. You need to make sure that you're invested in this, because you are going to lose some money trying to tweak and figure it out. You're not going to run an ad campaign that you've never touched or ran before the first time flawlessly.
Right.
You need to go in there. You need to put all the keywords you could think about that relate to your business. Go out, put an ad, put enough money on it that you get enough people to react to it so that you could see where the weak points are. You go in the back end of Google Ads, it'll tell you, Bathtub Refinishing, your ad came up 50 times yesterday. For tub refinishing, it only came up 3. Well, do you want to bid as highly on something that's not giving you return? Probably not. So maybe instead of tub refinishing, you target tub reglazing. Maybe the next day that one does better. But you're testing out in bulk. You're testing out 10, 15 words, and you got to keep checking. And if something doesn't get any reaction for a good 30 days, delete it. Stop. Because if it's not coming out, then Google will start trying to reach to try to get that word to transfer to you so they could charge you. And it's because you're telling them that that this is relevant to you. Yeah. So it's not that they're doing it because they want it, like just because they want to charge you, but they're doing it because you're telling them, I want to come out for this word. If you accidentally type floor refinishing and you don't refinish floors, Google's going to think you want to come out for floor refinishing. And they're going to they might go over the cost per click that you set because they want to get you that word. Like, they want to get that for you.
So you're saying be as specific as possible.
Yes.
Yet still broad enough to pull in what you need.
Yes. So Google does 3 different types of search. There's exact search. There's like relevant search. So like, if you have bathtub refinishing as exact search, if someone puts refinished bathtub, it'll come out. If you put like relative search, right? And then there's one that's like broad. So you put bathtub refinishing, but if somebody's looking up floor refinishing, it might come up just because it says refinishing. Do you want that? Probably not.
You wouldn't want it if you're specifically only doing that.
Also, pro tip, do not run ads with your name on them. Don't target Bathtub Guys if your name is Bathtub Guys, because, well, up to a certain point. In the beginning, maybe. But once your website is properly indexed by Google in the search, you should come out organically for the name of your business.
Yeah.
And if you're paying for ads, then all you're doing is paying for no reason. Because if somebody types in bathtubguys.com, they go to our website. If they Google it, we're the first ones and the only ones that come up like right away. So in the beginning, I know that your site's not completely indexed yet. If it doesn't have enough pages, you might want to run ads for the website. But eventually, once you can search up Enso Refinishing and it comes up, don't pay for ads.
Yeah, it's in the process of being built up right now. I mean, you can search it, but you have to directly go to there.
Yes.
So no, right now it's not Googleable, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's not going to pop up.
And then in your advertising, something that I would recommend is if you have a baseline price, advertise it.
Yeah.
Or
the price will be on there.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it on there because, why am I going to hide my price? I mean, if you ask somebody, you're going to tell them anyways. So why would you want to hide it?
Exactly. And it gives you a leg up on competition because competitors tend to hide their prices for some reason, or other refinishers. I don't really see them as competitors. I just see everybody as like, we're just trying to do the same thing, guys. We're all trying to refinish tubs. It's just, you get into that mindset where everyone's a competitor. They're not really competition. Like, they're just other people who do the same thing.
That's all.
Yeah. So, but other people who do refinishing around here tend not to put their prices out there. And sometimes people just want to know about how much it's going to cost. And if you give them an idea of how much it's going to cost, Well, then they're just going to call you because you're the only one that had a price advertised on your website or on your ad or anything. Mm-hmm. And you just make it clear that it's a baseline price or a starting price or a from this price or, like, that's it. That's all you got to do. You don't have to.
Excuse me, I get that dry throat.
You're fine. You don't have to. You don't have to go crazy, and like, just hide everything, and then people get surprised by your price and think it's going to be less, or people start trying to nickel and dime you. And I got one of those this morning. Someone trying to nickel and dime me. I got one yesterday. Remember the lady with the tub
heard that
enclosure?
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of ridiculous, actually.
Yeah, well, she wanted us to do a tub enclosure, which is the tub in the walls, for $400 when our ad is $475 for a standard tub. You'll get some of those sometimes, but you know what? You weed out a lot of them when you advertise price, because if you advertise price, they know at the very least I'm spending $475,
right?
Which is what we're charging at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
That might change. We're still in the trial phase, so that might change. But they know at the very least that's what I'm.
At least you're honest about that.
Oh yeah.
Most people won't be. They're like, no, that's it. That's the way it is. But no, you got to be negotiable.
Yeah.
You got to be negotiable. I'm not saying like, chop your prices in half. I'm not saying that. Don't do that, because stuff is getting more expensive a little bit. Either way you go, you choose refinishing, surfacing, glazing, whatever you want to call it, you're still winning.
Yeah. And so like. She tried to lowball a little bit, but we get people all the time who just look at the price and they're like, "Well, I saw your ad for $475. Can I get a quote? Send a picture." It's usually $475. It needs to be stripped. Between $550 and $600 is where I'm charging. I showed you that one. Yes, that should be a pretty good job there. But again, we're still trying it. But like we were talking about the other day, we were talking about how you go about raising prices. I think this is very important for people to know, because I told you our way of doing it. I'm gonna share right now.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
So I think that if you're gonna raise prices and if you're concerned about people not responding to your price change, I think what you should do is set up what I call a buffer. So you set up about 2 weeks is what I recommend of work, and just pile it on, wheel and deal just to get the days in, right? If you can charge full price, take it. If somebody wants $5, $10, $15 off, do it. Just get the job on the books, right? And you got your morning and your afternoon appointments booked solid for 2 weeks. And what that does is that it gives you a solid 2 weeks where you can test out new pricing for the third and fourth week. And then that way you have all this buffer time. You see it's not working out how you think, start high and then lower. Don't incrementally up your prices by 10, 15, or $20. There's no point. Because what if you raise it to $475 and everyone's responding and you're getting a lot of sales? Well, then you would have been
something
like,
to think about.
Yeah, you would have. What if you would have just gone to 400? You would have think, oh, this 400 is it. I'm not going to go any higher because I don't want to risk it. You would have never known that people would have been equally as responsive at 475. Or maybe a little bit less, but you're making more money on every job, so what the hell do you care?
And just to prove your point, $225 I think was the price of a standard bathtub years ago.
Yeah, about that.
And it hasn't really raised much. Yes, it has, but now there's better product on the market now. Sprayers have gotten better. Yep. Machines have gotten better. Technicians overall, the industry has gotten better.
Yeah.
And we need to start charging accordingly.
And we need to differentiate ourselves from the trash. If you do a good job and you do an honest job, charge accordingly. $475 to some of the people who spray tubs are like, I could never charge that. Nobody would ever pay that here. Well, you know what?
I've been told that.
Well, exactly. But you know what? People pay for reputation. People pay for people who do a good job. It's just about how you market yourself. And when people hit you with that's too expensive, well, you just can't afford it. It's not that it's too expensive. It's just that this is like, you're not a fly-by-nighter, man.
No.
You're like, your costs and then you price it accordingly. I'm not saying everybody needs to charge that much, but if you do a good job and you're consistently getting work out there, and you could test the price increase that would overall make you an extra $1,000 a week, why wouldn't you? Out of fear that your phone's suddenly going to stop ringing?
It's fear.
It's fear. But that's
fear
why.
And it's fear-based, and you can't make fear-based decisions.
That's why I very strongly recommend going ahead, putting a 2-week buffer, testing prices for 2 weeks, and you advertise the price high, and then you wheel and deal and see where the sweet spots are. And then you slowly start, okay, well, I filled up the 3rd week, so now maybe it didn't really work at that price, so I'm going to try $450 now. Okay, $450 seems to be working a little bit better. Mm-hmm. I'm getting consistent jobs here, but people don't want to pay as much for the stripping, so I got to tweak it and adjust it and just make sure that overall you're making more money.
Right. Hey, touch a little bit on the difference between someone wanting to spend on a certain budget for residential versus someone wanting to spend a budget on commercial. Touch a little bit on that because you got a lot of experience in the commercial realm. So
typically with residential, people are a little bit more willing to spend more per unit, kind of a thing, right? So for a tub, they're usually more willing to spend more because they're going to live in it, or they're going to sell it, or whatever. But most of the time, they're living in it. They want it to last a long time. So sometimes those people are willing to spend more and kind of just take prices at face value a little bit more. Commercial, they expect a discount from the jump. Now, a discount does not have to be $100 off a unit. Don't do that. Why would you do that?
That's ridiculous.
That is literally ridiculous.
Yeah, don't do that.
Some people, a lot of them, I would argue, do that because they're like, well, yeah, I know I charge $375, but if I charge $275 and I did 5 in a day, well, I'm making enough money. Well, you're only making enough money up until the point there's a problem.
Well, they're only half thinking about that. They're only half thinking about that. They're looking. That's short-term gain.
Yeah.
But in the long run, it's the difference between having a nutritious meal, which is less food, but it's more nutritious, so it's going to last you longer, other than having a big meal filled with no nutrition, and you're going to be hungry in the next 2 hours.
Well, here's the question to all those people. What happens when you are banking on, I'm going to make $1,000 in profit this week if I do them at $275 for a week, doing 3 or 4 a day or whatever? What happens when you got to go back for one? Your margin is no longer $1,000 clean. Now it's $850, assuming you're paying a guy an 8-hour day.
Yeah.
Even if it's half a day.
You got workers.
Yeah, even if it's a half a day thing and you just got to go repair it, touch it up or something, you're not making as much money.
Yeah. And
God forbid, you have to go back and fix a couple of them because you just, when you're working in volume, there's a bigger chance for things to go wrong.
True.
Now you're very, very, very close to margin. Do you want to be close to margin? No. You should be making at least 50% gross on everything you do. That's the reason why I don't go out and do little service call shits. I don't do them because I'm not making 50% gross. I'm losing money on those. I will do a courtesy repair for people because I usually tell them, hey, write us a review. I'm not shy about saying it. You know why? I'm fixing it for free. I should be recognized for that.
Well, you should be able to ask for that if you're doing any kind of service from them. Not just, doing it for free. But, hey, you're just asking.
Yeah.
You're just asking. You're not asking them
to
give you money.
In return of me going over there and losing money, would you write something nice about us on the internet? Because we are literally willingly losing money to make sure that you have a good experience. That's not uncalled for. It's not crazy.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not crazy.
Yeah, and that's what I typically do. I think all those things are important. Like commercial, they come from the aspect of because they're used to working in volume. Well, they're calling a distributor, and the distributor's telling them, oh, well, if you guys need 100 mattresses, it's going to be this price. But if you buy 150, give you this much. And sometimes they tend to look at labor as something that's tangible, that they could just, that's mass reproducible, which it's not. Skilled labor especially. You could have a bunch of guys. I could have 1,000 people at Cabana Bay. We're probably going to take equally as long as we're taking right now. You know why? because not all of them know how to spray.
And it takes time.
And it takes time to learn how to prep properly, how to properly do repairs, how to properly spray, how to properly mask. Having a gigantic crew does not mean you're going to get the things done faster. You pay for experience, you pay for workmanship, you pay for people to do a good job for you. And I think that's lost on a lot of commercial spaces. And then you got to speak their language, like we were talking about in the last one.
Yeah.
You got to speak their language, man. You're talking to a homeowner, speak their fucking language. We're not going to be in your house all this time because it's a one-day process most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah,
Unless they want something done.
Unless
big.
you want something, exactly. For a regular tub, let's say, right? One-day process. We're in, we're out. It's covered under warranty for 7 years to have Bathtub Guys. Some people do 5, some people do 10, some people do lifetime warranties. Whatever it is that you offer, right? And you're speaking their language. People don't want people in their house. They don't want service people in their house. You're going to have your bathroom back. You're going to be able to use it in 24 hours.
Yeah, that's what they want.
You're speaking their language, man.
Yeah.
It's going to last you a long time. You're saving thousands on replacement.
Yeah. Unless it has to be a 2-day process, then that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Or if that's their standard.
If that's your standard, then that's
cool.
fine. But regardless, you're saving them time because demoing a bathroom is not a 2-day process. That's a week and a half, maybe 2. Gathering materials.
Dependent on material shortages.
Yeah. Thousands of dollars. And all
Time
in all,
you can't get back.
you might end up having to call one of us anyway. Because if they're installing tile or putting, tools in the tub, they can scratch or chip your brand new tub really easily. So, you speak their language and you tell them all these things.
Mm-hmm.
Hotels, we're going to get those rooms back in order really fast so you can rent them.
Because that's what they were in.
They're like,
for.
woof, yeah, that's their business. They're like,
Yeah.
okay. Non-slip on the tub included in the price because it is a standard for commercial buildings. They love that. Okay. Removal of old caulking, installation, new caulking. That's something that we do.
It's so weird how they love it when you're really personal with them.
Yeah.
But then they try to remove the human element from it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a problem.
Of course, they're always going to try to because you got to remember, regardless of who you're talking to, these are corporations. And they're in the business of making money. If on paper everything is equal, it's like what we talked about the other day when we were eating, right?
Mm-hmm.
You show somebody a Papa John's pizza right next to a Little Caesars pizza who's never had pizza in their whole life, they're going to say it's the same thing.
Yeah, they would.
You have to differentiate yourself. You got to make them look at the little details. You got to make them look at the pizza and be like, oh, the crust is a little different on that one. Now, at second glance, that one looks a little bit more fresh. Well, how does it actually taste then?
And it's up to us to show them,
We
to
gotta-
tell them,
Yes.
to educate them. And we're not saying anything like, oh, you don't know nothing. No, we're teaching you.
You got to
what
let
look
them
for.
know. You got to let them know that you have the answers to their questions before they ask them, which is why you speak their language. In a house, you speak their language. In resident and commercial, you speak their language.
Yeah.
If it shows signs of experience, you know that they care about having those rooms turned.
Mhm.
You know that, hey, the tubs in here, they're not it right now.
Yeah.
People are going to complain. And how many Universal and Disney tickets are you guys going to have to give away, which is what they do here. I don't know if you know that. When they need to move clients
Mhm.
from room to room, a lot of the times they put in complaints because it's a lot of hotel policy that they give free theme park tickets for it. Just to maintain them happy.
Well, they're living up to their reputation, right? Happiest place on earth.
Yeah.
But
But
if it's Disney, you say Universal, right?
yeah, well, both. Well, how many theme park tickets do you want to,
It's gonna
pay
add
for
up.
when you could just, get this thing done professionally because the tub doesn't look dirty anymore. Like, you speak their language, turn the rooms, do it fast, do a good quality job. It's safe. It's going to save you guys from lawsuits. And people are going to love the tubs. They're going to think that they look brand new
Mm-hmm.
or pretty close to it. And, that's a good sell to a lot of these people. And you do it in a way that's a little bit shiftier than just going up to them like, I could do this, this, and this. You want to always first try to see if ask them what their areas of concern are. And then
Yeah.
just have the answers
Yeah.
ready.
I like to use, what's your pain?
Yeah,
What's your pain? How can we ease it? How
exactly.
can we solve your problem? We're problem solvers.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do.
Yep.
You problem solve.
And then if they don't want to give you an answer, well, then you tell them, well, I know for many hotels this is an issue. Is this an issue for you guys?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times they'll be like, yeah. Or, yeah, sometimes. And then you tell them, well, this is what we do to mitigate that. Mm-hmm. Smell's a problem? You guys don't have accessible windows? We have a solution for that.
Yeah.
That's why the air scrubber situation, that's why we use them.
Mm-hmm.
You would not believe the amount of hotels and resorts who have not gone through with bathtub refinishing because all these companies don't know how to filter out with no windows.
Well, they don't look into it.
They don't look into it.
They don't look into it. They don't look at it, and they don't know how to produce negative airflow.
Well,
they don't.
And you need to know your clientele and know what their needs are going to be before you try to sell to them. You need to know, and you need to know to speak their language. This is like with
do some research.
Yeah, with apartments, a good way, because I know you've gone to some, right? A good way of selling it to them is like, hey, calculate. Telling you this because sometimes people hear $300. I'm like, $300? Listen, calculate from their lowest tiered room, their highest tiered room, and then their mid tier room. Mm-hmm. The monthly rent's just about right, which usually is on their website. Add them all up, divide them by each other, come with an average, right? And then you times that average by 12 months in a year, which is usually the term of the lease for the apartment, and then deduct that from the tub, the price of the tub. And you tell them, out of this much that you guys are making a year on average per unit, this is how much it's costing you for one tub. It's going to be almost nothing.
Yeah.
And times that by the amount of units that they have, it's even less. I mean, you guys are you literally break it down. On this one unit, you guys are making $20,000 a year, whatever it is. It's a little wild, but let's say, right? Is $300 not worth maintaining that $20,000?
Yeah.
And then if if they're interested in bulk, okay, 25 units. This is the average by 25. Now you're talking $100,000. Is $8,000 not worth it? $10,000 not worth maintaining your $120,000? Like, you sometimes you got to break it down for them like that.
Yeah, you do. And the ones that will listen when you start talking about that, I love to talk to those people because then that's when you can actually get into it and break it down. The property value at this time for this property is this. Over time, it's going to devalue this. Don't you want to do things in order to keep it as high as possible and keep occupancy up? You don't want to start having problems. Hotels, they just want to keep renting them out. Same thing in apartment complexes. They want to keep their tenants. If something goes wrong and it goes bad, then they want to move out, and then now what? Now they got to get someone in it. And I know that it's a concern of theirs. They don't say it openly, but it's a concern of them to get nightmare tenants that just completely destroy places. I've been in units where it's been the whole bar area was just completely broken off. Candles all melted all on the carpet. I don't know what that was about. Burn marks, irons left on the countertops like this. Just weird things. So when we go in there and we protect it and maintain its value, that's actually what we're doing when we do this. We're finishing, helping them maintain the highest possible value they can at a valued cost as well.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know. It's important to talk to these people with their context.
Yeah.
It's like anything.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you basically leave it to, if you do it right, you leave it to the point where there's no more questions.
Yeah.
You have answered everything that they need to know.
Yeah, that's what you want to do for them. Basically, you want to give them everything that they need to know, because that's an issue as well. A lot of people don't know what to ask.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what to ask. All they know is that, does it look clean and shiny? Mm-hmm. That's all they know. Well, you can get clean and shiny anyway.
Yep.
This is the best way that I can think of. Can't speak for anybody else, but this is what I
believe in.
can do. This is what I've tried before. This is what I've done in the past, and this is what I found works the best. You know, for my standards.
Yeah.
Someone else may have different standards, but I want guys that are watching this show to use that. Don't be afraid to go and talk to these people. Don't be afraid to, like, you know, touch on points. Have key points and go in there and talk to them, because I do. And sometimes it doesn't work out, where they just want the cheapest guy. They can come in and do it under $150. But the problem is they keep on doing that every unit, every year. They keep doing it. It's different in a hotel setting. You know, there's like multiple cleanings going on, but in an apartment complex, why would you do that? So cheap. Every year. And sometimes they don't even last a year. So what can we do about that?
Sorry, I'm having a issue on the field right now.
Oh.
He is
That's why I tried to keep it going. I didn't want there to be any awkward space, but I knew you were onto something right now.
Yeah.
You're working still right now.
I'm still working. I'm not trying to be rude or nothing. It's just that, you know, we're what is it, Tuesday? The middle of the week, early in the week. And this looks like solvent trap to me. He's one of my guys, Bruno.
Yeah.
Having an issue here with some bubbles. See that?
Oh yeah.
Looks like solvent trap. It looks like the he didn't wait for the flash dry enough.
Was he doing multiple units at a time?
No, he's just doing one. That's why he's concerned. He's like, I don't know what I did wrong.
You just trace his steps.
I told him
Maybe he didn't wait long enough, like you said.
It looks like solvent trap. It might also be actual little holes in the porcelain that happen sometimes, and it could also be silicone residue. If there was a glass shower door there, sometimes even if you get off all the residue visually and you put acid, it's still not enough. So that might be what it is. I don't know. He'll figure it out though. I'm not too worried about that. And if he needs to go tomorrow,
he told you though.
Yeah, no, he always tells me.
Yeah.
He usually doesn't have issues really, so you know, he's asking me if I know what it is so he can try to fix it. He has 10-hour cure with him, so he can flash dry it with the hose. What I was going to tell him is to try to Bondo over the areas, or use some caulking and just spray over it, because it'll hold in those areas. But I mean, that's also with the expectation that these people want this thing to be perfect, and you know, there's always little imperfections like that. I don't know if they're gonna call back about the little bubble things, but who knows. But anyway, and that's another, you know, important thing we could talk about is, and when you're getting clients setting expectations, I try to refrain from using words like it's gonna look perfect, it's gonna look like brand new, it's gonna look as close to brand new as you can get without costing the brand new price.
Yeah, well, that's what you want to do. You want to word it the best way, because, you know, people pay attention to what people say, and in the service industry, you want to say what you mean and mean what you say. You don't want to just say whatever.
Yeah,
and land the job.
Exactly. And one really important thing that I want to throw in there is that there is a lot of variables in renovation and construction in general, and when you use words like brand new, it may look brand new to every single person if the tub was in the right conditions. But if the tub is a ball of fucking rust, and you know, it's to the point where the porcelain and the steel have lifted up because of the way it's rotting, and like it's poking outward, and like you're getting the thing usable again pretty much. If you say words like brand new or like new, you're lying. You need to tell people that, you know, in most cases or in most situations, if the tub is in the right conditions, it could look like brand new. But it's by condition, because I had a customer once that she did accounting for the Hyatt in International Drive, and she called us to do her house, and her tub had a gigantic pit of rust in the middle of the tub, and we used fiberglass filler and everything, but it wasn't completely flush, and we had told her it's not going to be completely flush. She was under the impression that it would drain normally, is like if it was a brand new tub. She's like, "Well, I thought that this was going to look like brand new," and I was like, "No, like we're reconstructing the bottom of the tub basically with fiberglass, like it's never going to be brand new." And, you know, she got very upset and back and forth, and we ended up just refunding her.
Yeah.
Because part of the issue was we didn't communicate it effectively enough. And that was our fault. Which is now why when people ask me that question, I'm very careful with my words. What might look brand new to you might not look brand new to me. Some people say that the finish looks like it was painted on, even though it doesn't. Some people be like, it looks like it's been painted on. When you go to a tub, you can say that about anything.
You know, I think when they say that, I think they're looking for like brush strokes or something, you know, but you're not going to have that if you're using, you know, a gun. You're not going to have that.
Yeah. I just don't understand, like don't be so vague. Don't over embellish. Be honest.
Don't be deceptive.
Exactly.
Number one. Don't be deceptive.
Don't be deceptive in your marketing. Don't be deceptive in your work.
No.
Don't be deceptive to your crew. Be honest about things.
Yeah.
You know?
Have dignity.
Yeah.
You know, have dignity, and it'll carry you a long way, you know?
Yeah. That's true.
Good character, good virtues. Have virtues. They'll carry you a long way, you know?
And so, yeah, it's there's just so many ways you can go with these topics, but you know, it's all in the realms of good business, good customer service. You want to make sure that you're responsive. That's a big thing. You wouldn't believe how many people don't answer their phones. I mean, we have technology, guys. You know, like,
use it.
Exactly. You know what differentiates like us from a lot of companies that are around here is that I will literally have customers who tell me, well, you're the 6th company I've called in a row, and you're the only one that answered the phone. At that moment, what does that tell them? I'm the only serious one. I'm the only one that's actually wanting your business. It doesn't matter if you're busy. I'm sorry. If you want to run a business, you need to be responsive, because this is the age of everything now.
And that can get out of hand.
It can, but you know what?
It can get out of hand, but like it's a trend. If she said she called 6 people and you're the only one.
Oh yeah.
So that means they're lacking somewhere.
But regardless, we are in the age of people want it now. And
well, that's setting up for failure, because it's an unrealistic expectation, which is going to cause a lot of depression.
Yeah, it's unrealistic and it's not sustainable. But right now, you got to play the game.
Definitely.
That's my opinion. You got to play the game of people want it now. As far as you getting to them, you got to be responsive. Look at Amazon. What did Amazon do? They started offering 3-day shipping, and they started offering 2-day shipping, and they offer next day shipping on almost everything. Sometimes they do same-day shipping. You know why? Because people want it now. They don't want to wait. And Amazon even offers you a discount to wait for your packages. Did you know that?
It sounds funny, though, in our industry. It's like they can't be master craftsmen today, now. They can't.
No, of course. But I'm saying...
That's dealing with products and something different. Like
exactly.
Amazon, I'm not really too...
Well, what I'm saying is, as far as servicing somebody, right? Like with customer service, apply it to how people apply things in general, right? Like, you wouldn't want to have a plumber in your house and call 7 companies to get a response.
No, you wouldn't.
In an ideal world, the first person you call would answer the fucking phone.
Yeah. Well, they're gonna get it. They can get it as quick as possible. But there's a call out fee.
You know what?
I'm
one of those guys that I call local companies when I need something.
You should.
Yesterday, I called a local company. They didn't answer the phone for a plumbing for the bathroom back there. You know who answered?
Who answered?
The national company. Now the national company got my business. You know why? Because none of the local companies answered my calls, actually. Sometimes the local.
So
guys,
is that just a local issue? Is
it's an issue with people in contracting businesses in general. So there's people who don't like to pick up the phone. Either they're owner operators and they answer the phone, and so they're on the field doing the work, and then they miss the call. Well, no, you got to get somebody on the phone.
You should do the best to the best of your ability to answer that phone and get back to them as quickly as possible if you missed the call. If people understand, call back though.
If somebody has a missed call or texts you and you don't respond within 2 hours, you might as well just give it up.
Consider it gone.
Yeah. And
the window is passed.
Same thing if you have website entries on your website, I advertise on the website that we will respond between 1 and 2 hours.
Yeah.
The only caveat is if we're closed, right? I respond.
Yeah, they can't expect you to do it.
I respond between 1 and 2 hours.
Yeah.
I don't. Why? They're coming to me. If I give them an answer now, and the next jackass doesn't give them an answer. If it's a Friday and I'm not doing anything, it doesn't matter to me if it's after hours. Honestly, the only exception is if it's like 1 a.m, I'm not answering. But if somebody gives me a website entry at 7:00 and I'm watching Netflix, and I see that they want anything, a regular tub or anything, I will respond. I will give them a quote within 5 minutes, and the next 5, 6, 7, 8 companies will not respond until next Monday.
Well, see, that's the difference between you being, number one, who you are, and then having the convenience to have it right there. If that's what this is what you do.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're sitting there watching Netflix and you do that, right? If it's like 1:00 in the morning, okay, completely justifiable, right? Who's gonna answer that? You know, you're not like a 24/7 service. You know, no, you can't be calling your guys out in the middle of the night. Unless that's set up.
All I'm saying is you're not going to call the guys out. Obviously, you're not going to, like, as far as actually doing the service. No, obviously you have to be reasonable, but your responsiveness should be at the top, at the fucking pinnacle of what you do as far as advertising, because responsiveness sells.
Yeah.
Why do you think that all these giant companies no longer put you on hold with just waiting around with music playing in the background? They have like the automated system that talks to you. Well, it's because they've done research and they know that people lose interest just sitting around waiting. So they try to get you to talk to some. It's a dumb system, but they try to get a responsiveness so that they can get you the right person and still have a buffer between you and the representative. The important part of it is they're trying to get an answer for you. And when somebody's coming to you and saying, I would like information on getting a bathtub refinished.
Cool, let's talk.
Exactly. That's how it's got to be. It's got to be like if they're right in front of you. Yeah. Because if a customer came right in front of you and was like, hey, I'm interested in doing a tub, you would give them all the information right there. Even if it was 7:00 at night. If you're at a bar and someone's like, hey, how much would it be to do a tub?
I do that all the time.
Yes.
When I talk to people and they ask me what I do, I tell them.
Why do people like be like, well, it's Friday, I'll answer on Monday, and then they call on Monday. It's like, we already found somebody. You know why? Because you didn't fucking respond. You need to responsiveness is very important. Look, I'm in the middle of a podcast, guys. I own a fucking business. I I answer the fucking phone. I don't give a fuck.
You did.
I'm sorry. I know it's sometimes, you know, I know we talked about it before, so you're cool with it.
What?
I'm looking on my phone. I'm making sure everything's all set. I'm making sure that there's not, you know, there's not anything crazy going on. I'm monitoring my guys, people who are texting me, customers. I literally booked an appointment while I was sitting here. I'm sorry. I need to bring this up because I just feel like this is very important.
Okay.
You need to be very, very, very responsive. And it's underrated. I'm glad we got to this point. It's underrated.
I am too, because there's some things I want to talk about. The hustle culture.
It's underrated to be this responsive. You need to be responsive.
Yeah, they need to do it now. Like, tell them if you're in the middle of a spray. Okay, yeah, you know, you don't want to keep stopping every 5 minutes. If your phone's going off that much, hey, great. But you know what? If your phone's going off that much,
you need somebody to
be on the phones. You know, so you're making enough.
Mm-hmm.
So don't worry about that. But I'm really big on don't be busy just to be busy, because if you're busy, you're not being productive necessarily.
And if you're busy enough to where you can't answer the phone, but you can't quite afford somebody, your voicemail should be like, hey, I'm very sorry we missed your call, or sorry for the inconvenience that we couldn't get to the phone. Please leave your name and number or text us and we'll get back to you within an hour.
The difference in what you said right there was, or text us,
Yes.
and then they'll get back.
Because if your voicemail doesn't have anything, I'm sorry,
No.
but you're gonna lose on a shit ton of business.
You will.
Yes.
You will.
Our voicemail, I hired a voice actor for it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's professional. You want to call it?
Call it. All right.
You gotta call me so I can show people what it sounds like.
All right. Let's do it.
I'm telling you, I'm glad we got to this part of the conversation.
Man,
honestly.
we're always going to get to something good. We just got to keep talking.
It's just, to me, man, enough people don't value, like,
I
really,
told you, man. Mac and cheese. That's what they want. Instant.
everyone wants
And they're
instant.
not willing to put in the time to get something good out of it.
Yeah.
They're not.
Well, we all want things instant, and we think it's an inconvenience when we have to wait for some shit, right? but we don't treat our businesses the same way. Like, if you're ordering food on Uber Eats and DoorDash and it says it's going to get there in 2 hours, well, fuck that. I'll just go in person.
I'm calling you.
All right. I'm going to hang up and leave it on a speaker.
Thank you for calling BathTubGuys Refinishing, the residential and commercial refinishing experts. We're sorry we missed your call. Our normal business hours are Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Please leave your name, number, and a brief message, and a customer service representative will call you back as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay. So you see how, like, you know, you acknowledge the fact that you are who they think that they're calling. You acknowledge the fact that you're still in business and, you know, you might be calling outside of normal hours. So maybe they didn't know that it's from 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 or whatever. Yeah. And maybe they're like, oh, shit, it's a Saturday. No wonder. I'm going to leave a message. You tell them, you know, please leave a brief message, whatever, and you're going to contact them back. Now, personally, at this point, knowing what I know about how effective text message is, I would probably change that for relatively soon and add that caveat about sending messages. And I recommend you do the same.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people think they're calling a call center. They think that they're calling a landline.
Mm-hmm.
And if they know that they can text you, they'll just text. Texting is way more convenient. There's a record of everything that's said and done. There's a record of pictures of before and afters. I mean, everything's there, and it's just more convenient.
It's nice when they do it through the text because you can get to it. They understand that they're not going to get you right then and there, and then they can already get the process started through the text by sending the pictures through the text as well as a brief message of what they were thinking they want to get done.
And here's another way of thinking of it, guys. If somebody is texting you, and they're already in the market for a job, and they already know because they clicked on your website, tubs start at $475, and they send you a picture, and you confirm tub is indeed $475, and they invested time taking that picture, they invested time interacting with you and texting. What do you think are the odds that they're going to go with somebody else? Very, 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 very low, because they're already anticipating to pay that much. They already invested time by going and taking that picture and texting you back and forth. Mm-hmm. You answered their questions, and what more is there? There's not much left.
They've already completed the process. Just the service needs to be done.
Exactly. At that point, all you need is the commitment, which I recommend everybody send a link for booking. And I recommend everybody find a way to put credit and debit cards on file so that you don't have no-shows. Bathtub Guys has not had a no-show appointment in like 2 years. You want to know why? Credit and debit cards on file. If you do not show up, I will charge you. And they have to stand by it. They try to do a reversal. Square, which is what we use, will literally dispute it and get the money pulled back to us and show them that they agreed to it. Not only that they agreed to it, but that they themselves booked the appointment on our website and agreed to the terms. That's how you do it.
Oh, well, you're just trying to do good business. You're not just trying to hook them and say, I'm going to get something.
No.
Yeah, you're trying to do it the best.
You do it in a way so that it's helping you. Because what if you are under the impression all week and you're not putting jobs on Friday because you think you got this monster job on Friday and you're not booking other jobs, you're like, all right, me and my guy, and you tell your guy, hey, I'm going to be there on Friday. We're going to do this, this, and this in this house. Mm-hmm. And then Thursday night rolls around, and they're like, hey, we're not going to do it. Or even worse, you're on the way to the job, and they're like, hey, we decided to do something else. Or, hey, we sold the house already. What are you doing? What are you going to do? you're gonna get pissed.
Or you're gonna feel like you lost out, and you could have had other things scheduled. You could have had whatever.
Yeah, well, you lost opportunities to put other business. You lost the money that you invested in that time in that project. You know, you lost a lot, and you had an appointment booked, and you had a person depending on work, which happens to us sometimes. They're going to help somebody with a bigger job, and then it falls through. All these things happen on a regular basis to a lot of companies because they don't have a sales process and they don't have people put a card on file. Nowadays, you got to put a card on file for everything. And plus, people are so trigger happy with their cards that people will leave their credit and debit card information on freaking Amazon and never delete it. Like, they just leave it on there. There's just so many safety features in place now that if something fraudulent were to happen, they could just call the bank and have it reversed, realistically. So you make them put a card on file. You save that card. If you want, you could even say, we don't make them do it. We only put it for no-show protection. But you could, and I've had customers, sometimes I ask them, hey, would you like to add the card for future purchases as well? Sometimes they want to do that. You know why? Done with the project.
Because they don't want to have to do it twice.
You automatically bill them. Send them the bill. They don't got to type the card in more than once. They're busy people. Maybe they're on a flight that afternoon. And sometimes Bruno, he gets surprised because he's used to a lot of smaller jobs with like customers being kind of on his ass a little bit. We get a lot of jobs from people who are flipping houses and residentials, but a lot of people who are flipping houses. And sometimes they're on a fucking plane to New York, and all they want is a picture of the tub on the plane Wi-Fi and charge me. Okay, looks good, charge me. And then when they come back in a month, they're like, all right, looks good. Like, that's it. Like, they're not even in the house. They give us a lockbox, and we're in and out.
Yeah, we just want to make it. We want to make it convenient and easy for them.
Yep. To
get it. It's not too easy on our part. You know, it's not, like I said, not mac and cheese on our part. You know, but for them, just to know what you're getting, what the terms are, the conditions are, everything that's going to be done, and the process, and show of completion, they're good.
Yep.
That's what they want. Then they do whatever with their property they want.
Let me go ahead and check this voicemail he gave me, because I think it might be the customer wanted to pay with card. Give me a second.
Okay.
I can play it. Oh, it's not. It's playing through here.
Strip it, I cleaned, I primed, back cloth, and everything was there. I did it for, I coated 4 times with the top coat, and then when I was taking the paper and I saw those things happening. So,
he was talking about the solvent trap thing that I was telling you about.
Don't know what that is.
He doesn't know what it is, but the customer accepted it.
As well, I don't use, xylene, so.
Okay. So it wasn't about that. It was about the thing we were talking about earlier. But he's telling me and explaining to me what it was.
Yeah. And
he doesn't really know why it happened. Customer accepted the job, which happens sometimes. If you get a customer, and again, setting expectations. We don't set the expectation that it's going to be perfect. This tub looked like absolute shit when he got there, and now it looks 1,000 times better. And
it's good.
Yeah, and people respond to that. So, he it wasn't up to his personal standard, and he even asked the customer, "Hey, do you want me to come back and fix it?" She was like, "No, I think it looks good." All right.
So what I tell them is, look, you're gonna get something definitely better than it was before.
Yep.
You're gonna get a solid product. It's gonna look good. It is gonna be good. And I tell them you're gonna have a like new surface.
Yep.
I don't tell them anything like it's gonna be brand new, because it's not brand new. If I say that, it's gonna be deceptive. No, I'm not gonna say that. You're gonna have a like new surface, or like new factory finish. I don't even think I've said that before. I just said like new surface because it is like you're getting a new surface. You actually are getting a new surface. That's what I tell them.
I just feel when you use the word new too much, people think brand new, unfortunately. And they don't think new to them. They don't think renewed. They think, oh, this is brand new. When you tell them like, hey, this is how I word it normally. I say, hey, this is a cosmetic service. Mm-hmm. We're not in the business of completely refabricating the bathtub or reconstructing the bathtub. We make it look as best as we can under the circumstances, and that way it's clear to them that it's a case by case basis. Results may vary, and a lot of the time we stop in the middle of jobs. This is something that's very hard for newer people because you want to get every job, but if you're starting the job and it turns into a monstrosity that you weren't anticipating, pull out. One time I had my brother Alice, when he was still on the field, I had him do a job for this woman that we've done jobs for 1,000,000 times. And she calls for her personal home this time. And around the drain, there was a hole about this big. Huge. I mean, it was huge. And
it was like a whole foot went through the tub.
Yeah. I mean, it was dangerous. And he shot foam under it. Foam wasn't drying. Like 5 cans of foam. They weren't drying. So we had to pull him out of the job. At that point, there's just not much we could do. The moisture was built up too much underneath to where it wasn't drying. She actually appreciated the fact so much that we didn't just go and do some bullshit job, that she had somebody come in and irrigate underneath and dry it all out. And she shut the water off for a week. She stayed in one of her rental properties and then had us come out and fix it again.
She saw the value in it.
Yeah.
She knew that if she got that totally replaced, it was going to cost her thousands.
Yeah. And we ended up charging her like $850 for that tub.
Yeah. And we don't just say that number. We don't just say that number because, it sounds great. No, it's literally going to cost a person thousands to completely pull it out and get all put in new products.
Yeah, and people just don't take into account like the value of being an honest person and just telling people when something's just too far gone. When something is too far gone, you just got to admit it. And, or if the circumstances aren't right, don't go and try to just piece it together. Because if you do that, all you're doing is digging a deeper hole for yourself later. Like, if the conditions aren't right, we tell people leave the house between 70 and 74 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
The house is 80 degrees. I tell my guys to get the fuck out of there. And the reason I do that is because I know that it's going to run, it's going to sag, Bondo's going to take forever to dry with the humidity, and anything we do is automatically at a point of where it's borderline compromised. So why would I put us in the position to fail when this is something that's been communicated in the beginning? Yeah. No. We tell them, conditions aren't right, and we don't do this. We don't do this kind of thing. We have a process. Stick to your process.
I've told customers that it can't be done when they have a leak. I'm like, you can't. I'm not going to do it because it's going to be a ruined finish. It's going to be a waste if I do it. It's just too much of a leak. I know some guys, they do all kinds of things. Tape bottles on there, put napkins, and everybody has something different, right? Tape a cup up there, put a little kitty litter in there or something or whatever. All kinds of things. No. If it's constant drip, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it because it's going to ruin it. Yeah. Some way, somehow, it's going to mess it up. So I'm not going to look bad. And I don't want them to waste their money either. Or us having to get into a situation where I tell them, hey, you got to pay for the service again. I tell them no drips, no leaks, running water. The window situation, I can work around that. But what else can we do other than be completely honest with them up front?
You really can't do much, honestly. You gotta just do it the best of your ability, and when the conditions aren't right, just pass. There's no point to just overextend and try to. That's like for example, we don't mess with plumbing. We don't mess with plumbing like drains, overflows. I don't have my guys take them off unless they're completely clean or new. If they're older, screw strips. Next thing you know, here you are paying $10 for somebody's overflow. It's $10 less that's in your pocket. Why would you? There's no point.
Well, it's like you're not a plumber. We're not plumbers. That's a specific trade. Like what do they call that thing? Plumber's tool, plumber's bone.
Plumber's bone?
What do they call it? Yeah, no. Like some people want to, get me to take out the drain, the overflow. No. Don't want to do that. This is a process that I really don't necessarily have to do that, you know, unless there's like some, you know, extreme amount of rust around there. And rust is just a completely different story when that's involved. But all the time they do try to talk you into the warranty covering the rust. I tell them it's going to come back.
Oh, no, I tell them it's coming back for sure. And
It's just a matter of when.
it's just a matter of when. I usually tell people if it's surface rust, you could assume it's gonna probably last a little longer than if it was deeply penetrated in there. But there's no way to really stop rust once it starts, and there's so much moisture in that area in the bathroom in general that you can't ever really guarantee rust, because what if it starts rusting from underneath, but it just happens to be the same area where that was going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, then now you're in a predicament, because now you told them, hey, rust is under warranty, but it's not the same rust. It just started rusting in another place and ended up there. That's why you can't. That's the same reason I can't warranty crack repairs, because if the surface tension is high in this area, or the surface starts to become brittle, because fiberglass does that, this crack could turn into this crack, and then they break open the repair, and then suddenly you think it was my repair that failed. No, that's not how it happens.
Yeah. It does.
$30 job. I'll do that one. Do the
He was on his way to another one.
Yeah. Yeah, I gave him the option of going to another job. This is something that it's good that we're on the podcast while I'm doing this. If one of my techs is running a little behind and the other one finishes early, I usually will swap them, because he was scheduled to go do like a service call repair, which is like a minimum $150 that we charge, and it was going to be a simple little thing, but I ended up sending him to do this other tub instead, because my other guy was doing a tub and tile this morning, and it's been taking him a little bit longer than anticipated. So I'd rather have my guy who just took longer go out and do a repair after, and not have to do an entire tub with a repair. And he could, he's probably going to be tired because he probably ran into something over there, which is what, normally happens. Normally a tub and tile, he'll do it in 4 or 5 hours, but it's taking him a little longer. So
Well, that shows good management skills, because you don't want to, if your guys run into something and someone else is having an easy day, if they have good, relations, which hopefully all teams have good relations, and someone can, maneuver around, help someone out, that's fine. Teamwork.
Exactly, and I'm just, it's more convenient for him, because he's, okay, I'll make a little bit more money on the day, and then my other guy doesn't feel like, oh my God, I got this other job looming over me that's going to be this thing that I got to be there. It's just it's just a little repair, and this is a job that's so small that I know, and I know the customer, and we did the tub and he damaged it, and I'm charging him a service call fee for the chip that he made, which is about this big, huge. Fucking drop something in the tub, but I'm charging him $150, which is really cheap for that. But I told them it's subject to change, so it's a flexible thing. So if for whatever reason, Ralph, who's taking long right now, if he finishes like at 4:30 or 5 and he can't make it there, well then I tell the guy, hey, we're gonna have to reschedule this. Simple as that. So, and right now it's 2:54. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna text that customer right now we were just talking about. I'm gonna let him know that we're probably gonna arrive later if that's okay. It just depends on, on
where
there.
Ralph's at.
Yeah.
In process, that is.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and text them. So, yeah. Are you liking the podcast so far?
Oh, it's good. It's good because there's always good things to talk about, and hopefully things that we talk about, someone else has thought about or not thought about, and decide to implement some of these things that we're talking about. You gave me a lot of things to think about,
Yeah, I'm trying to apply stuff, and I haven't thought enough about, I know I keep bringing it back, but I really want to emphasize responsiveness is really important, man. It's really, really important, especially in this day and age. Like, I know you come from a different time, like where people were a little bit more like, willing to wait for greatness and good stuff. But The problem is, as technology in the world has changed, you can get great products and great service and not have to wait.
It's
It's a blessing and a curse.
how can I best say that? It's they don't know what good is, and if they don't know what good is, how do they know what bad is? So they definitely don't know what great is, And it's like it's kind of sad, like you said, a blessing and a curse, because nobody knows what's any good anymore.
Yeah.
To the point where they've even lost their own selves. To where they don't know, and they just let some random person just have an opinion, and then, okay, like lemmings going off the cliff.
Let's apply that to the tub refinishing industry. People who just go with the first person who answers. Mm-hmm. Well, what if the first person who answers sucks?
Well, we all suck then.
Yeah, but what does it say about the industry where, like, it really is a fair playing field? Because the difference between you having work today and tomorrow could be the fact that you answered and the big company didn't.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, the big companies know that, and that's why they always answer. And that's why when people say, well, it's me, this bullshit about, oh my God, look at all these giant companies and they're taking over the whole thing and like they always got work. It's like, well, if I call you and you don't answer the phone during your operating hours, why are you in business?
Well, I see what's wrong with them having work and you don't have work. So then change your strategy. Do something different. Don't give up. The woe is me thing sounds like you're giving up to me. Yeah. Don't do that. I've helped many things come up before. And it wasn't anything about I was saying woe is me. There was no backup. I was my own backup. Like we've talked about before. Like, no, so don't tell me it's not done.
Yeah. It's just I feel like people have a little bit of a sense of entitlement. And they think that people are just going to do everything that how they're comfortable,
So you said, like, I came from a different time, right? Yeah, I did. I've lived. I saw this thing. I was on social media or something like that. It was like people that were born in the 70s have lived through, 3-4 different decades, gone through all types of stuff, seen so many things. We survived outside. We didn't have internet. We didn't have cell phones. We had phone books and key maps to get around, and you had to give people directions to get somewhere and stuff. So, yeah, we've had to come and accommodate, and that's why we feel a certain way. A lot of flavor has been lost. Everything is really bland now. People that think that they think deeply don't even have real thoughts.
I think that's the price of the mass production of everything, and like the moving at 1,000 miles an hour. You can't.
Well, it's a blur.
Well, yeah. Well, to a certain extent.
So they know nothing. Honestly, dude. Seriously, like you said, I come from a different time. I'm gonna call it like it is now. Now this is me actually talking about it now. Like, yeah, come from a different time where we actually cared about stuff.
People don't care no more.
No, they don't, and it shows because they take everything like everything is disposable. People,
but even
places, things.
Customers.
Customers, horrible.
Again, it's sad that it is that way, but it is that way. The first person who calls is the first person you're gonna.
So we need to stand up and change it.
Yeah. Well, you gotta make it.
I see you changing it.
I'm trying.
I'm trying too. I'm trying with you.
Exactly.
I'm trying with you. And you know what? We are. It sounds like we're like complaining about stuff. We're not complaining about stuff. We're just, because I'm gonna tell you this. Only from me, speaking for me. I'm not telling anyone what to see. I'm just telling us what to take a look at.
Yep.
That's all. I'm not some major authority or anything like that, but I can call stuff what it is real quick. So I'm not gonna harp on someone just because they were born on a decade and that they were born in the 90s or the 2000s or whatever, and they're in this industry. They might have some skills that I don't know. They might have something.
And I respect that. Like, my thing is that I know that, like, again, people cared. People would do things because it was convenient and it was nice. It's like think of the things that used to be like standards that just aren't. Like, I don't know. I feel like I don't know how to put it. Customer service has been a little lost, and then but also on the customer end is just the expectation that everybody could be an Amazon, everybody could be a Walmart, everybody could be one of these things. It kind of sets them up to be disappointed when they get screwed over, because that when I'm telling people, and I'm telling the good ones, right? The me's, the you's, the people around here who do a good job. I'm telling them, be the first one to respond. You know why? Because God forbid the first one to respond is somebody who sucks, and then they paint the picture of the perception for the whole industry.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Because how many times have you heard somebody say, you'll tell them about a pizza spot you love, like, oh man, I went to that place and it sucked, or I went to that place and I don't know, it wasn't that great. And it's like, well, maybe the person that day was off, didn't do it properly, but that one hiccup just ruined it forever for that person. Yeah,
well, that's why you should have proper training, and you got to find people that actually care about what they do. Like if they're just there for a paycheck, come on.
No.
Or even worse, if you're in the hiring position and you do what's called the warm body syndrome. Oh, we don't care. Oh, we got to do about this. And oh my God, the worst managers are the ones that they say on the side that they don't actually give to, what's about the people's situations or anything. Like, okay, go ahead. Do that. Continue. But it's not a good thing. Just people are becoming very impersonal.
Yeah.
And business is very personal. Because it's two people. It's a transaction.
Yeah.
It's not some fictitious person.
And I feel like that's why people take it more to heart, but it's both their fault and the company's fault. Because if somebody calls the highest rated company in their area, they're not picking up the phone, and then they call somebody who has 3 stars and they answer, well, that's your fucking fault as the 5-star company. You should have answered because they called you first.
Well, if you got a 5-star company, I'm probably pretty sure that you've gotten to a point where you can apply your best thinking and get stuff in place.
You'd be surprised.
Sometimes, well,
I called a 4.9 plumbing company that's local, and they didn't answer the phone. I called 3 times. And they called me back at 4 p.m. asking, oh, how can we help you? I'm like, I already found somebody. You know what the response was? Oh, okay, thank you. Have a nice day.
What else could they say? What else could they say? I mean, you already found somebody else.
Sorry for missing the call. Something, I don't know. They treated it like whatever.
It was impersonal. They didn't care.
Yeah. You should care about every single, obviously, and it's something, it's different, but there's a reason the giant companies screen calls, right? They screen calls to make sure that the jackhole that they're paying hourly to answer the phone is actually answering the phone and properly representing the company. But if you are the only one answering the phone and you're not properly representing your company or accessible to be able to give somebody information about something that they're interested in paying you for, well, then you're just not doing your job properly.
Yeah.
Like, you need to have that. And if you're doing it yourself, you need to write down a text message, be like, hey, I'm sorry I missed your call. Please, send your inquiry here. You could text me pictures and we'll give you a quote. And if you prefer to talk, we can set up a time to call. Explain.
That what you were talking about sounds like a person who cares about it. And a lot of people, they don't care. It's a sad reality. It's stuff it's the dark things that we don't like to talk about in industry or service and companies overall. People don't like to talk about it because they always want to present the best image. Half the time it's an illusion. They don't want to put in the work. They don't want to take time. They say everything sucks anyway. Why try? Well, they don't care about anything. It's all into nihilism. They don't care. There's no reason. There's no purpose. There's no cause. You gotta have a purpose. You gotta believe in yourself. You gotta believe in your whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Whether you want to be a teacher or you want to be some kind of professor, instructor, a craftsman, a woodworker, a bathtub refinisher, you know, a cabinet refinisher, whatever you want to do, you know, just do it. Do it. And stop complaining about, oh, you know, said country, they make subpar items, and then you run to the big box store that's made by that same country.
Oh, yeah.
It's ridiculous to me. Find local. I'm real big on local. Find a guy who is local. I understand some people want to do it for the cost reason, but what are you really doing to the economy right there?
Yeah.
You know, I know a lot of people talk about it.
Well,
but
and then
really find a local one.
And also, don't do yourself a disservice. Like, do research, like, for customers and for businesses, too. You should know. A lot of people just go with the first person, and those are just, that's like low-hanging fruit, right? You answer the phone, you might be the only person that they want to call because you answer the phone, they'll do business with you.
Hey, I mean, it actually does mean something when someone answers the phone.
Well, it displays from the beginning that you have a vested interest in your business and actually getting work.
Yeah.
And if you care about that, then that also signifies that you care about quality and you care about doing the right thing. And, you know, if they call a bunch of companies and nobody answers, then, like, you're the only one that answers. You have such a leg up. It's crazy, which is why you should always answer the phone.
Yeah, when you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you can. And if you're just sitting there and some people are like, I'll just go to voicemail just because you want to laugh at some stuff on Instagram or something like that.
Look at me. I'm getting back to people right now. And you see, like, I'm just.
You're just doing what you do.
I have to, though, because no one's going to do it for me. And I'm still not at the point where I could just have somebody dedicated to the phones.
Well, keep doing what you're doing. You're going to get there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I know that. But it's just at this current moment, I'm not there yet. So I got to work while I'm doing other stuff.
Don't lie. You enjoy it.
Oh, I do, yeah.
If you didn't enjoy it, you wouldn't have got here. You wouldn't have made a podcast about it.
Look, I love what I do. Like I was telling you the other day. Obviously, was it my dream as a child to be doing bathtubs, right? That's not what I thought I would be doing, but that's not how I look at it, right? I look at it as providing people customer service, being able to see like beautiful, exciting properties and stuff that's new and like stuff like that. Like I think it's a really it's a like personally rewarding for me to be able to provide people something of value. And it's not specific to tubs. Like I don't again, talk about generalities a lot because I feel like what I've learned doing this is applicable to so many different things, right? And that's why I always tell you, like, you know, aside from bathtubs, let's talk in generalities. Let's talk about business in general. It's because I'm trying to talk for anybody who's doing something with their own business, stuff like that. Yeah. That's the part that interests me. That's why I want to talk about it.
Yeah. It's because, like, one of the things that we said yesterday after I did the demo was there's more to the world than just this.
Yeah.
And it's true. So many people don't want to talk about that.
Yep.
Because they just want to be left in their little comfort bubble and don't burst my bubble. Let me live in my butterfly world.
Yep.
That's not if my wife watches this, that's not a crack at her because I always say some stuff like that. But, you know, no, it's not. Don't just live in your butterfly world, and it's not like that.
Everything, like, there's no black and white. Like, I think that it's like what we were talking about off camera, like how people were sold the American dream for like the millennial generation, right? They were sold like, oh, you go to college, get a good job, you'll be set. Buy a house at 25, start having kids, retire by 45, 50, you're good. Like that doesn't happen anymore. And and to be honest, did it ever really happen like that? For some people, right?
For some, it did. It did, and it worked out really well for those.
But
for the ones that didn't, it left a lot of debt.
Yeah, and then now we have the hustle culture, right? So there's two parts of that. There's like the fake it till you make it kinds, right? The ones that pretend like they own Lamborghinis and Teslas. And then there's the people, the like if you go on YouTube, there's the inspirational types that like I built this business by myself and all this bullshit, and it's like, there's no humbleness to it or anything. And I just feel like actually doing the work is very just undervalued and under talked about. But I feel like people are starting to get conditioned to just expect things, I guess,
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. The whole entitlement thing.
And it makes us cater to those, though. Like, look at me. Like, realistically, I write a warranty out, and I'm kind of going against my own thing when I look back and think about what I'm saying. But, enforce your warranty. Well, I kind of have to fucking pedal around a little bit, and I can't be as strict on my warranty as I want to, because they can destroy me online with reviews and social media. That's an issue. But turning it into a positive, right? There's two sides to it. You go, you do it, they write you something, and that maybe that review is the one that gets another customer to convert.
Well, I would say don't worry too much about it. Yes, they can be detrimental to a company, and they can be detrimental to your character assassination, sort of. But I wouldn't say don't put too much stock into that. Don't worry too much about it, because people can say anything and stuff cannot be true, and you can get them for slander, things like that. But I know that's a big sack of mess that you don't want to get into. But as long as you're standing on principles and you're doing things and you're conducting yourself ethically as possible, like don't oh well, I don't care or whatever, you're gonna be fine. As long as you're consistently doing and trying your best and doing what is innately good to be right, you're going to be fine. But a lot of people try to cut corners, try to cut costs, try to do things, and that's what makes the industry look bad. Specifically speaking to this industry, I do not cut corners. I do not do stuff. I try to be as clean as possible, organized as possible, Like we're speaking right here, we're pretty laxed, and we try to have fun with it, because we want it to be fun. We don't want it to be all boring. Yeah. Right? We don't want that. But no, there's issues and things that we have to look at ourselves and find out. Because if we're just trying to impress everybody else, and we're trying to be the next influencer, the next company, the next this, well then, there's no originality in that. I love traveling to another city and eating at the local spots. I love that. Because there's only things that you can get in certain places, in certain areas. I don't really like, don't get me wrong, I'll eat it, but I don't really like going to the same city after city after city, and you see the same chains, the same thing. What happened? There's no originality anymore. Everybody's just a copycat. Yeah. And of who? That's the thing. That's what gets me. That's why I try to be totally original. I just try to be me, stand on principles, have my virtues, do my things right, conduct myself properly with people, and hopefully it rubs off on others, so they're not just sitting there just doing the bare minimum. Come on, what is the bare minimum? Food, shelter, clothing, the basic necessities of life. But why don't we aspire to anything else? And even worse, I read this one time somewhere in a book. It was like, what's worse than like having a neighbor or something like that you couldn't envy or something. Like, in other words, you were in an area where you didn't even aspire to your neighbors because there was nothing to aspire to, or something like that. Not speaking of like a neighborhood, but just in general. Like, in other words, everybody was mediocre, so no reason to put forth any more effort than anyone else. I'm not like that.
You know what's funny?
What's that?
I literally had a guy that worked with us who, that's what he would preach all the time.
Somebody that worked for y'all?
Yeah. He would literally say, like, it's nonsense. His name was Chippy. His real name is Chris. We call him Chippy. And he would he would be like, well, why would I push myself harder than everybody else? That was like his mentality.
You see, that's just what I explained. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to do anything else other than that.
Well, then you're setting yourself up for mediocrity, because anybody could just do what everybody else is doing. But you know who doesn't do what everybody else is doing? The people who set those trends.
Yeah.
The people who set those trends are the people who have busted their fucking ass every day to get to the point where they don't got to do anything. But then everybody wants to run around here pretending like they're music producers, pretending like they're, you know, like everyone likes to pretend like they got some shit, right? But they're not willing to put in the work or the effort. They don't dedicate 100% of their time to that.
The reality is that they do have something, but they don't put forth the steps in action to get there. Because
their mentality is, well, they look at, it's just a dumb way of thinking. Because, you know, a lot of these people are like, oh, but like this guy, you know, this person, they put out an album every year. And it's like, and a lot of those artists, they put out 17 fucking mixtapes before they drop an album.
Yeah.
And they were out at malls giving them away for free. They're busting their fucking ass, trying to meet people, trying to connect, going to fucking shows and like actually performing live and trying to get their name out there. And then things started moving in their direction. And it's the same thing with this. I came into this. We didn't have work for weeks. We had people leave who were longtime people. Started grinding it out, going to places, giving cards, giving people snacks and shit. Calling around, call the old clients and be like, hey, how's your tubs? Okay, we'll go fix that. You know what that did? Made them remember us, made them, like, you eat it a little bit. Because
you do.
When you call an old client, you always risk. There's a 50 chance that they say, that tub that you guys did for us is peeling. That tub that you guys did for us is discolored. The tub that you guys did for us, there's something wrong with it. You go, you fix it. Well, maybe that was the little bit of integrity that they needed to see from you to just start calling you regularly and being like, oh no, these guys are serious.
Well, it's because you were making your presence known. You weren't just getting the money and running. You weren't hiding. You weren't trying to like, oh, don't make no waves, don't say nothing, don't do that. And that's where people, they ruin themselves. You know, they think of, they abuse the free speech, honestly, man.
Yeah.
They go over there and they think that if I rant and rave and if I speak louder than you, I must be speaking the truth. That's ridiculous.
No, that's bullshit.
That's ridiculous, and they do it all the time. Like you said, the thing about the music. There's this argument in the industry about if the person that has the most sales, well, must be the best musician, must be the best artist, must be the best rapper.
The best musicians are probably people who haven't released their stuff. It's all about perception. That stuff is about perception. But as far as like, people shouldn't be working harder than you. If you actually believe you can make it and you have something, the only thing stopping you is yourself. And that's like some, you know, it's old, it's campy, it's cheesy, but it's true. Like, all these people that you see out there, they didn't just make it just because.
Yeah.
Some people, you know, they got fortunate. They had like rich families and shit, like the Kardashians. But some people just grinded for it. They were probably the first ones in their families to have, you know, like over $100,000. They were probably the first, like they were the ones that broke out, but they did it because they busted their ass. And people go around and be like, oh, that guy's so lucky. Oh, man, it's so lucky. And then they say dumb things like, well, all he did was put out that one song, and now he's... No. What about all the catalog before that allowed him to make that song that got him big? Like, no, people don't think about that.
They call them one-hit wonders, but that one hit is remembered forever.
Took a million trials and errors and risk, like we were talking about.
Booed off stage, probably, a lot.
To then come up with something that people would like.
When they had to actually find a stage to get on, then prove themselves to get on that stage just to try it and possibly get booed. If not, then they skyrocket it or whatever the case may be. But now what do? Oh, let me just real quickly download this and upload it, get it on iTunes, and I have a million hits, and I'm rich, and I don't have to do nothing. And it's like, no, you have to produce another hit and another one and another one and another one. That's the name of the game.
Or the people who think, oh, well, they had a one-hit wonder, and you know that song is not that great, and they're like, well, I could do that. And it's like people who think that they could, like the people who paint cars and think that this is the same thing just because it's painting. And then it's like, well, they never actually practice how to properly do this specifically, so they're never as great as somebody who's always painted tubs.
I wonder why they think that a car painter is greater than this. I mean, it's a different industry, similar tools.
It's
I think both.
perception.
I think both. If you got a bathtub finisher, I think you could paint cars, and I think a car painter could do this. They're.
I think realistically, it's probably harder for a car painter to do this. Although I don't doubt some of them can, because a lot of car painters have to go back and white sand their jobs and then clear coat them and stuff like that. And distance isn't really a problem because everything's kind of set up for you. There's a lot of flat panels. There's not a lot of corners.
You know what I think it is? I think it is because they talk.
Well,
And
that's
they-
another
and-
thing.
And they uplift each other.
There's other education in the car industry. There's a million podcasts about it. There's a million podcasts about and YouTube channels and stuff. There's not enough of it for this industry. So this is why doing things like this is very important. So and I'm always willing. I had the guy from Bath Art hit me up and I told him like, yeah, I'm willing to meet you. I am not. I invited him to the podcast last year. He didn't want to come. Okay, but now he wants to talk to me about something. I don't know. But I'm always.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, but
That's good that he wants to talk to you.
I don't know what it's about, but I am willing always to talk to people. I will give as much positive information as I can and try to help people out. I want to see the industry do better. I want everybody to succeed.
So do I, and I'm way smaller than you.
What I'm trying to do is legitimize this industry. Like what you were saying, like, oh, well, why is it that they think that they're better? Well, they think that they're better because of perception, for one. I mean, people to some extent, there's always going to be like, oh, bathtub refinish, what the fuck is that? But it's like we were talking about with plumbers. Everybody knows plumbers make good money, man. Everybody knows it. That and it's a joke, but like that plumbing is like this, demeaning job and shit. But it's not. It's a real freaking job that pays really, really well. And a lot of fucking certified plumbers are multimillionaires, man.
That's what I was about to say. Is there's more blue collar millionaires than there is white collar. I think. I may be wrong on that, but I think most of them, you can't say that. That there's more blue collars than that, but I know for sure that there is a lot of blue collar millionaires for sure. Some of them multimillionaires, and they're blue collar, and there's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes society, this whole blue collar, white collar thing, it's kind of funny, They just look at it as labor, like we were talking about earlier, and that it's not too high. But it's like, no, these guys have to actually be smart. I mean, I think I read somewhere one time where you judge a society based on how they use water. The uses of water, how they use it. And some societies are better than others. Some nations are better than others on that. I don't know.
It's such a weird time we're in, man. But I'm glad that there are people who are willing to talk. You, Jonathan, now the guy from Bath Art. I'm trying to.
Is he gonna come on the show? I hope he does.
I hope he does. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, it's just something cool to do.
We have similar context. I mean, we're in the same area. I hope he doesn't see it as like me being his competitor, because, look, I say the same thing. I say it to my guys. I'm like, you guys want to start your own tub refinishing company? Fine. If you guys think you guys could do it, fine. But I wholeheartedly believe, at the end of everything, I am going to be the one that stands out in front of everybody. So I don't think of anybody as competition.
Well,
I think that I am the best. But hey,
everybody, we all say that we're the best. We all say that we're this, and that's why I say that do the things that differentiate you. I see you do a lot of risk, on whatever scale that is. Some people have different ideas of risk, but I mean, you're just doing things.
Yeah.
Like you said, just do what you like, stuff like that. I want to put some stuff out there too. I think some people might think this is kind of weird, or some people might like it, or some people
You
might
literally
do this.
cannot give a fuck about
You
what
don't
people
know.
think. when I told people I was doing a podcast, they're like, for what? To talk about what? Bathtubs? Oh, I guess. Everything's a dumb idea until it's done.
There's podcast about everything.
Yeah.
There's podcast about.
Oh, there wasn't one about this until I did it.
Yeah, there was one other thing that I had heard. It was something called. I don't remember where I found it. It was somewhere on the net. They called it Refinish Radio or something like that. And but I mean, it wasn't like this.
Oh no, this
was the first of its kind.
Yeah, and I'm actually having like a video version, and
yeah,
like I said, man, I'm trying to legitimize this. You go and you look up like a carpenter, and there's a fucking official like podcast with official studios and official videos, and I'm trying to do that with this, man. And I'm just glad that you came by and got on the show, Jonathan, now with the other gentleman, and I'm trying to build something cool, man, because this industry is still young. I always say it's so young. There's so much potential. There's a lot of things.
There's a lot of things that we can do. Everybody just has to communicate, talk, stop being afraid of one another. Reach out to people. I reach out to people all the time.
Yeah.
I do. All on Instagram, talking to people, I comment on their stuff and because I want them to know that, hey, I see your work and I think it's good. I'll like it. I'll comment on it. I do that because, hey, they took time to do that work.
Mm-hmm. Put
their quality out. They're just like me. They're trying to eat. They're trying to make money. They're trying to make their lives better. And by working, we can make our lives better. That's what it's supposed to be about.
Yeah.
It's not just some drudgery that's just, it's just, oh, my God, I got to go to work today. It's like, no, it can be fun. I've had jobs that I loved, jobs that I put blood, sweat, and tears in, literally went under the knife for injuries. So, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, people might see me and, oh, this guy just talking. Okay, yeah, I just drove halfway across the United States to come over here to Daniel. Who's going to do that?
A lot of these people won't. A lot of these people won't even drive an hour.
Why not?
Intimidation, fear. They're
fear of what? Failure?
No, I
say not trying is failure.
I think that a lot of people care too much about what people think about what they look like and how they talk. And if somebody finds out that I was on this podcast and, they overthink it. And it's like, at the end of the day, you say you want all the business. You say you want to build a crew and you want notoriety. You want people to know your company name. But if you're not willing to pick up the fucking phone and record yourself, if you're not willing to come on the only platform that's giving refinishers a chance to talk for a long form and actually talk about issues in the industry, if you're not willing to put yourself out there, you're never going to get any of that. Ever.
No,
never.
You won't. You won't. You got to put it in. There's so many things that you got to do. There's so many things that you got to do. And I'm not trying to like beef it up or make it sound, super spectacular or anything like that. But you got to be willing to put in the work. You got to take some risk. You got to do some things. And a lot of the stuff, you're going to benefit from it. You're going to benefit from it. You put it in, you're going to get a return on your investment. You will. You just got to keep doing it and do it well. Don't be egotistical. Don't be an asshole. Don't. I'm highly against that. Like, don't do that. I don't care how high they go. Don't do that, because now people do look at that, and that can be detrimental to your person. Mm-hmm. It can, if you're right there and you're just treating somebody totally like crap, other people are gonna look at that and say, well, there it is.
Yeah.
And people do have their good days and bad days, but a lot of times they don't want to talk about that. People just want it to be all fluffy and everything like that. Wasn't there like a video game or something like that where people were doing, like, they did some kind of mist, or I don't know what it was, some kind of something that everything was funny and happy and no bad times, and then something like it wore off and everything was just messed up. Wasn't there a game like that? I was actually listening to a podcast that had mentioned that.
Oh, like BioShock?
I don't know what it is.
There's a game called BioShock, and in the second game, it's like a Metropolis world, but it's actually like really fucked up and dark.
Oh, it was like a dystopia type.
It's like everything is like super great and perfect, but like underneath everything is like run by like some crazy bitch who's like evil. But anyway,
What a game.
We're an hour 54 in, so we gotta put an end to this one too.
Let's do it.
We did almost like 4 hours, man. We did 2 in a row.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming by.
I appreciate you, man.
And
Thank you.
it's been a great show. If you could, for me, real quick, since we're still on the camera,
All right.
just kind of look at the camera
Mhm.
and just kind of pose a little bit.
Yeah.
That's for the thumbnail.
Oh, okay.
So let's do it again.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. All right. So that way I can cut it up because I'm gonna try a new form of thumbnail for this instead of just having the blue with the number, having a face and stuff to it. I think it'll look better, and so I wanted to try that out. But all right,
Okay.
go ahead and end it now. Thank you again, man.
All right. Thanks, Danny.
You just listened to the official Bathtub Refinishing podcast, powered by Bathtub Guys Refinishing. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Feel free to ask any questions or suggest topics for the next episode by following @BathtubGuys on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. And thanks for listening.